And in this time, economic advancement is not only linked to the professional advancement. Um, Even if you become a manager, a director, a CEO, that doesn't mean that we're achieving economic sustainability, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes, when we think about, even if we make $100,000, $200,000 a year, that doesn't mean that we're wealthy. Because if you think of, if you have to pay for a college for your son or your daughter or yourself, right?
Hmm.
Even if you're making $100,000, if you have to pay, 40,000, 60,000, if you're going to go to a good school, making 100,000 doesn't mean anything because you still have to pay, 30,000, $40,000 for school, for your son, daughter, brother, sister, yourself, and so on, right? So the economic advancement, we should be able to learn the American way. How do Americans build wealth? How do they sustain the wealth that they have, right? And first is, of course, having a good job, having a good career, and being able to save money. And I'm talking about this, I wish I learned this when I was young. I wish we learned this when I started. Even though I started in a good career, good job, we didn't understand all this. So I'm hoping that people will learn from our experience, those of us who are, who have achieved, who have done a lot of things, but we didn't know to do all these kind of things. It's very important that we share it now. So the American wealth, the American system is built on savings. People save a lot of money. You know, Once they start working, they put, 20%, 30% of their income, whether it's to their retirement or to their savings, they are determined to build wealth by saving money. So every one of us need to learn this. Like I said, I wish we learned this when we were young. So from the moment that people start working, they should put 10%, 20%, 30% of their income into savings. And that saving, in most cases, would be more fruitful, more productive. Let's say if that saving would be invested. And the investment industry, the investment management in the US and in the Western world in general, is one of the wealth building mechanisms in our time. So being able to save and being able to invest. See, when you invest, and of course, investment has a lot of ups and downs, a lot of issues that we all have to be aware of. But it's very important that we save and we invest,
Hmm.
right? And let me share with you, if you don't mind. Let me see if I can quickly look at some investment um, models. Let me share my screen with you. And I was looking at this last time. So here's what I'm looking at. I was just doing some research, and here's what I came. So I was looking at companies, let's say, to invest in. Let's say if I had invested. So here is the green. Uh, the green line is the performance of Tesla.
Hmm.
The yellow line is the uh, performance of Zoom, like what we're using right now.
Hmm. Hmm.
So consider this from the time that Tesla started. In let's say this is uh, if I move this here, you will be able to see. Let's say if I invested in September or even let's say in here in May of last year, 2019. If I invested in Tesla in 2019, do you know how much return on my investment I would have in 2020? This is December 2020. 2,000%. So you would be able to see, this is, let's say if someone had invested $1,000 in Tesla in the beginning, they would have now 2,000% return on their investment.
Yes. Yes.
So by simply investing $1 million, you would have like, no, $1,000, you would have like $1 million. Now, this is very tricky because there's a lot of ups and downs in investing, right? Let's say if I bought Tesla in December, what would be my return on investment right now? This is about 2,000, 2,500. Right now, the percentage is 15. So I would have lost 1,000.
Yes.
So it's very important to be methodical. And of course, having a financial advisor would be very, very critical. But this is how people build wealth in America and in the Western world. So investment is critically important, and having strategic perspective on investing would be one thing. So Americans build wealth this way. And of course, there's, as I mentioned, I'm not saying you have to invest here or there, but at least the very basic concept of having a determined idea and mindset of investment would be critical. Another very, very, very important aspect of the American wealth is what we call the insurance. Life insurance, those of us who come from Ethiopia, Eritrea, Africa in general, we don't even understand what life insurance is. But, Americans, they buy life insurance when they are young. When people get married and have children, the first thing they buy, a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of the smart people, they buy life insurance when their kids were born, when they were young. If you buy life insurance when let's say, if I buy life insurance when my kids were born, let's say if I buy $100,000 in life insurance, I probably would pay $20, $30 a month. If I buy the same $100,000 insurance, my wife and I, we bought life insurance for our kids about 2 years ago, something like that, because we understood how important it is, and we were so sorry that we didn't do it when they were young. So if we bought it when they were young, when they were kids, we would have probably paid $20, $30 a month for, let's say, $100,000 policy. Right now, when we bought last year, the year before, we're talking about 23, 20, and then 17, 18-year-old youth. We had to pay like $70 a month, $60 a month, $40 a month. So the older you get, the exponentially expensive it gets to buy life insurance. But imagine, all the Western, the American society, because they buy life insurance when they are young and they can afford it. Let's say my wife and I have life insurance right now, and we bought, luckily we bought ours like 20 years ago, and it was okay at that time. But having life insurance, it gives people peace of mind. What would happen, let's say, if something unexpected happens? And this happens all the time in our life, right? So in the American system, when a parent dies, not only do they have to inherit their properties and so on, but also they inherit the life insurance.
Mhm.
And the life insurance, we're talking about $100,000, $300,000, $500,000. So when a parent passes away, in our society, we always struggle. Where are we going to find the money to bury them? Where are we going to find money to raise the kids? What are we going to find in this? But in the American system, the life insurance, basically, when a 500,000 comes to the family to support the kids and so on, it's a life-changing experience. So imagine having 100,000 coming to you, to your family, and then building on that. The reason why American people can buy $1 million home and then they can pay cash on that, those are the sources, the kind of sources they have: life insurance, investments, and so on. So even though professional advancement is critically important, understanding this system, investing in life insurance, investing in investments like stocks and bonds and mutual funds and so on, becomes critically important for us to build wealth and to have financial and economic sustainability.
Okay, very good, Dr. Abraham. Of course, all the examples that you have given us from your own personal perspectives and so on. But as you suggested, people really need to consult financial advisors and their doctors, anything that relates to any type of investments, so they can get more educated and then make the right move. But also, how important do you think it is to have a platform, which what we also strive here at ECLA for Ethiopian Community in Los Angeles, to have a community where people have this type of discussion, one profession to the other, and for example, yours today to other people who didn't know about this, and then learning from each other. How important it is to surround ourselves with people with the experience so that we can actually walk together the path.
Oh, it is extremely, extremely important. And the first thing I think I would say is it's very important for us to respect each other. So all of us within our community, we have to respect each other in a way that, if I am educated, if I have specialty in something, my community needs to respect me. My community needs to look up to me to give advice, to demonstrate, to share information, and so on. But as a community, we always have to have the mentality that, hey, those of us who have some excellence, who have achieved some professional, financial, educational excellence, we need to honor them, we need to respect them, and we need to seek out to them. So as a community, the first and most important thing we have to know and do is we have to respect and honor those who have achieved something great, something better, whether it's economically, from a business perspective, from education perspective, and so on. And once we do that, those of us who have achieved those also need to know that we have obligation to share. We have obligation to give back to the community, because giving back to the community, whatever we do, if we can achieve whatever we want to achieve, and yet it's only us, I don't think it is meaningful. Being able to give back, being able to share, and in whatever we have, I think it's an obligation. So it's two ways. We need to honor those who deserve honor for whatever advancements, achievements that they have done. And then those of us who have achieved, we also need to give back and share experience.
Okay. One last time. I mean, we held you for almost an hour and a half, Dr. Abraham, and we thank you for that. Usually we have two panelists or more than that, but you just effortlessly really engaged with us and do this. We really thank you. But before we end it, what type of personal commitment? I mean, you touched a little bit as far as respect and the belonging, the feeling of belonging in the community. But then what are the personal commitment for social and economic development? Like if you, from your own, like, maybe humility, stuff like that. Like what would it be a good commitment, or the threats, personal threats?
Yeah, I think it's very, very, you brought very important concepts or ideas that we always have to be aware of, and something that we all need to be mindful is, first of all, we all need to count our blessings, especially those of us who are here in the US, in Europe, in the West. We have to count our blessings, right? Even though we may be, sometimes we complain there's racism. We complain, there's so much missed opportunities. There's no, this country is too hard on immigrants or in Blacks and so on. That is true. But we also have to count our blessings, the blessings that we have, and take advantage of the opportunities that we have so that we can actually strive for better and greater. So counting our blessings would be something that's very, very, very important. And then it's, as you mentioned, it's very important to be humble. You touched on that, which is very, very important. It's very important that we be humble. Because I have achieved, education, professional advancement, and all those things, I shouldn't be, bragging, or I shouldn't be putting people down and so on. We always have to be humble. And the way we humble ourselves is actually an opportunity for people to recognize us. And it's always good to honor, to glorify others and support and encourage other people, and not basically focus on ourselves. Mm-hmm. So being humble would be a critical attribute that we need to do, that we need to have. and being humble also comes with, self-sacrifice. Self-sacrifice meaning we got to be able to give. We always have to be people-oriented, social, community-oriented. When we are focused on people, on others, it doesn't mean that we have to neglect ourselves completely. But if we give priority to others, support, encouragement, and so on, that's actually how we build our community. But I think most important is, being a person of faith, a person of goal, being able to have faith as we know it. We come from a faith background, faith culture. I personally I grew up in a church. My father was a preacher, a pastor in the evangelical Mekane Jesus Lutheran Church. I grew up in the church, and I still am part of the church. And because of that, it has anchored my life and my family to have and to be in the faith. And that faith has sustained me to, even if there's difficult times that come, faith always is an anchor. So having faith, having humility, having self-sacrifice, and also most importantly, being grateful, having the gratitude is some key attributes that will help us to be a successful person in our careers and in our life in general.
What a way to end it, Dr. Abraham. Thank you very much. We really, really appreciate your time, your energy, and what you have elaborated, perfectly for us to understand how can we advance in our profession and also in our personal life. And definitely, I'm definitely sure that you will come back and pay us a visit again. And also you will be, I'm sure you are part of our community, and then we'll reach out to you for the questions that come in. And then when people really, if they need some type of advice from you, we will really go ahead and reach out to you, and I'm sure you'll be available for us. If you don't have any last words that you want to say, we'll just end it here and say goodbye to our viewers.
Yeah, I just want to say, thank you to my students, Eden, Doyle, Samhal, Rahel, and who else do I have from my class? So
We're all your students now. By the way, we became your students the last 1 hour and a half.
Wonderful.
Yes.
This is great. I just mentioned this today in my class, and they were able to make it. And thank you so much for your time.
Okay.
And thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure to meet you, see you all, and then those of you whom I don't see, all the best and keep at it. Be strong.
All right. Okay. Thank you, everybody. See you on Saturday for Election Day. Thank you, Dr. Abraham. Dana hunu, dana sambutu.
Dana hunu.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was great.